this is one overview about what an industry looks at Hadoop. So what is big data, guys? As all of you told, a big data is nothing, as the name itself suggests, big data is nothing but huge data. A huge data can be anything. There is no certain definition for what we call it as a huge data. Suppose if at all I take a notepad and if I want to open 1 GB file in my notepad, there are chances that my notepad will crash at a moment. So for my notepad as a software, the 1 GB file is huge. So that is big data for a software. Any software that is designed, any software will have a limit. Every software will have a limit for the data that it can consume. It is not only consuming, guys, it is also processing. So any software which there is a limit for everything, and whatever the storage goes beyond that limit is called as big data. And Hadoop as such was developed to tackle the challenges of big data. Why do you think we have a challenge of big data? Can you guys explain me? What is the challenge of big data? What is the challenge we are facing for a big data? Any one of you can answer. You need not be right. It's just that I want the class to be interactive. What are the challenges of big data?
Unstructured format.
Yes, exactly. Unstructured format. Next. Let us call
huge volume.
Yes. Any other challenges you remember? You can think of?
Accessing.
Accessing, you mean processing?
Yeah.
Okay. Any add-ons on top of this?
Time constraints.
What time constraint are you speaking about?
No, just saying like the difference between the other Rdbms and comparing using this big data.
The time taken to fetch the results out of a database, is that you're speaking
Yes.
about? Okay.
Yes, exactly.
The query
Fetching the data.
Okay. Next. Guys, let us go to the classic example of Rdbms. The basic thing, Rdbms or any company or an organization which is using an Rdbms needs one particular service or one particular let me call it a vendor or anybody to maintain this Rdbms cluster. There is a maintenance charge that has to be given for an Rdbms cluster, and you have to pay for the storage. You have to pay for the storage. You have to pay for the performance. It's like every single requirement that an organization needs has to be gone back to this classic Rdbms vendor, and then get all the requirements. You have to pay for every single thing. If you want to increase the storage, you have to pay them. They'll increase the storage. If you want to increase the performance, you have to pay them. They'll optimize the performance. So there is a lot of cost that is involved when we are speaking about Rdbms. And the more and more the data is flowing in, as you already know, there is a lot of data that is flowing in. It is also the huge volume and also the velocity at which the data is flowing. Like if I open Facebook, I could see like somewhere around 200 people updating their photos altogether. Rdbms was basically done for the structured data. It was for the structured data. For all of you who were hearing the terms for the first time, there are three terms which we'll be using frequently. One is structured, the unstructured, the other one is the semi-structured. The structured data is nothing but there is one particular format that the data has to flow in. So like something like in an Rdbms we call it a tabular format. But if at all we are speaking about the chat here, when we see the chat here, I can see the name of the person and then the chat message. So what this goes to my database is such that I'll have a table called chat and I'll have two columns called name and then the message. What goes here is a varchar and here also a varchar. Varchar is nothing but a string, or if it is a timestamp, or if at all we are speaking about the time duration of time, then this could be an integer. There is a format how the data flows in. If you can see the chat message, this is the only format that you can always see the message. So this is the same format that will be stored in my table. This is referred to as a structured data. Any data that is coming in a structure in a text format is always referred to as a structured data. You can always predict. It is the static schema. We call it schema. The order is referred as schema. The data that comes in this format is always called as a structured data. The unstructured data could be a picture or audio, a video. A video can be an unstructured data, an audio can be an unstructured data, because we never know the structure of the data that is flowing in. I could say hi in one audio, I could say hello in another audio. There is no static thing as such. A video also depends which pixel is present somewhere, and I mean, what is the definition, what is the order, what is the flow in which the data is coming. Nobody ever knows what is the flow, what is the format of the data that would be flowing around. And with an introduction of social media, with an introduction of smartphones, with an introduction of internet, the unstructured data started flowing in very huge. The YouTube videos, and then the stock exchanges, the graphs, everything will be an unstructured data. And there is something called a semi-structured data. Semi-structured data, if you are familiar with XMLs, it is semi-structured data. And if at all you are, if you're, a small example would be an email. An email together can be called as a semi-structured data, because an email will have a to, it'll have a send, it'll have a body, it'll have a subject. A body together as such is in very unstructured data, but whole together has some predictable structure. That's why we always refer email as a semi-structured data. So these are the data that are coming around. So and the data is flowing in. It's not only the processing of data, it is also the storage of data. So as I already told you, to store the data, we have to pay for a vendor. It is not ideally owned by me as an organization. And suppose, guys, you already know, if there is a football match that is going around at that particular time, there's a lot of videos that will be flowing in. There is a huge volume that is flowing in, and then this volume should be stored somewhere. And there are chances that you just want that minute details of data only for that particular 3 months, and you want to dispose this data, and there is no need such that I want to store this data, but I really want to store the data for 3 months. For 3 months, I have to pay back to my Rdbms client and ask him to store the data, give high performance. And then I don't know what to do with the storage, because the storage is already configured to my project specific details. So there are so many drawbacks of Rdbms that are actually overcome by Hadoop. What Hadoop does is, Hadoop as such can be owned by our own organization. There need not be any maintenance person. Every organization which is owning a Hadoop can bring things on its own. There is no maintenance. And it is cheap. You need not pay anybody for anything, and it is a commodity clusters. If we are 8 members together in this video conference, all our 8 systems put together can become a cluster, and all the 8 systems working like this can become a Hadoop cluster. There is no requirement for a high-end machine. That's why all the organizations are opting for Hadoop, because the maintenance is less and the cost is also less. And suppose Hadoop is, as you guys already told, it is distributed horizontally. It's a horizontal distribution. What horizontal distribution does is, in an actual server, in an actual Rdbms server, there will be one huge server where all the data will be stored. And if at all I have a requirement to increase the server capacity, I have to increase the server capacity here and add more disk space or add more memory, something, etc. like this on that particular server, because it is a high-end machine. It is designed such a way that any addition and increasing will not hamper, but the server starts becoming very big. What Hadoop did is, it'll not increase one particular machine as such. It'll add on machines. Suppose there are 7 machines as such on that particular football match. On that particular football match for a storage, I need another machine. Then I can just add another machine for that day. And if it's not required, I'll just delete this machine. Addition of machine for a storage or processing is very simple and very easy in Hadoop. And the framework is bought in such a way that any addition and deletions will be very easy. That's what organization like about this particular Hadoop. And moreover, yes, this is why everybody is shifting from Hadoop to RDBMS to Hadoop. This is one reason. And RDBMS is always, RDBMS was designed to go for a relation database. As you already know the name, RDBMS, it is a relational database. There has to be a relation between tables. There has to be a primary key, foreign key relationships. These kinds of relationships or schemas are not mandatory in Hadoop. Any data can be dumped directly into a table. There is no requirement as such for a relational database. It can always map to any particular database that is present, any kind of data that is coming in. There is no requirement as such that the schema should be already present to dump the data. We can also on the fly develop a schema of the data that is already present. This is another advantage of Hadoop. And then we spoke about, yes, that is why there is a massive shift, because the cost is less, the cost is very less. And there is, it's not only supports the structured data, it also supports the unstructured and semi-structured data. It's not like, guys, if at all I'm speaking about RDBMS, you have to be a SQL developer or PSQL developer, right? You have to be a SQL developer or PSQL developer. So instead of this, Hadoop does not pose you any such constraint. Hadoop, if you want to be a Hadoop developer, there are so many ways to be a Hadoop developer. If you know SQL, it's well and good. If you know Java, you can be a Hadoop developer. Without this, if you know the Linux commands, and if you are willing to work on the Hadoop framework, you can be a Hadoop developer. And if you know a Python, Hadoop will give you the competency. Hadoop will let you know whichever the language you know, you are welcomed into Hadoop, you can start working. It is not language specific. Hadoop is not language specific. Any organization can pick up Hadoop, and it's very easy and it's a very simple framework. All you have to know is how to use Hadoop and what is the infrastructure of Hadoop. Okay. Any doubts, guys, so far? Guys, any doubts?
No, quick question in reference to those SQL, Linux and everything, and Java, we will have some small session on that too, right?
Yes, all the hands-on session will go through all the commands, and for every class, for every 15 minutes, there is one Linux to-do commands. I mean Linux hands-on. So in this 15 minutes, we'll introduce you to the basic commands of the Hadoop. Like most of them know Linux mission, and most of them have worked in Linux. They might know the commands, but there are chances that there are people who don't know the commands or new to the commands. So the last 15 minutes of every class will have a hands-on on Linux commands. What we do is we basically have a system. This software would be distributed all across, and there'll be a terminal. Guys, one more important thing I want to tell you is any person working on a Hadoop project will be working on a Linux environment. It's very important you have your commands handy. So that was the main reason to have 15 minutes of hands-on sessions for every class, so that you become more used to your you get used to your project and the actual working environment. The system and the server would be installed somewhere like this in your labs or somewhere. And what we usually do is we take the IP and connect to the IP via PuTTY. If you can see here. So the exact same how you work in your company, or if you're working on an actual project, it would be the same way how you will be trained here. So this is how we usually log in. So if you can see here, we'll always log in via PuTTY and start working. All our production environment will always work on PuTTY. It's always on, I guess it's always on the actual, it's always on the Linux machine will be working, and there is no doubt on it. We'll never use Windows. It's always on the Linux machine. If you can see here, and we will make sure that you have all your Linux commands in hand. That is very important. No, Prasanna, Linux and Unix are similar, and I'm speaking about shell scripts. Your shell scripts and shell commands are the same things. So it's very important that if you say that you have been and we give you a project to say that you have been working on a project for 2 years, so which means that you should have a hands-on on these commands. It's very important. It's very crucial.
So that means the command, whatever we used in Unix, so the same ls and all commands is going to be
same commands will be used here. Exactly.
Oh, okay. But and one more thing, the PuTTY also is not compulsory, correct? You can use anything, Sigwin or anything.
Yes, you can use anything. It's just that how we work in a production environment is what I want to like imitate. It's not like you just go into a server and start working, right? You never have a Windows or a desktop. We always connect through a client. So if your project is located somewhere else in another different region or location, we'll always connect like this. So I want everybody to have a hands-on session on this. Okay.
Okay.
Mohammed, is your question, I mean, clarified?
Yeah. How about Java? Are we going to just learn the commands for Java also? Or?
For Java, it's basically, Java is very simple. It's pretty simple. And what Hadoop uses in Java is there is a framework. There is one particular framework called MapReduce in Hadoop. What is that? The framework is already well built, and what you need to know is where you have to add your code. Suppose if I can open Java here, if it's visible to you, the framework is already ready, and all you have to know is where your code should actually go in. So there would be very few places where your code should go in as such, and will tell you where you should drop in your code. Like this, it would be in a map function or in a reduce function. If you're able to put this code here, and you should be thorough with your logic. If at all a use case is given to you such that you need to count the maximum latitude and longitude of all over the in the location that you are present, and if you know about your logic, you just will tell you what is the place that you should always put, and this is the standard all over in the Hadoop in the industry, and you put your code and just run. We'll tell you how to run your code also. There'll be around some 8 to 9 hands-on session in Java MapReduce, 8 to 9 hands-on sessions and assignments. So I guess pretty much by the time you finish all these assignments, you will have a good understanding about Java programming. And if you're willing to learn Java, it's a good start.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other
Do
questions?
you have any of those recordings on Java by chance that we could do it on site also?
No, you don't. We don't have any recordings in Java. But if there are more people who want an introduction to Java, that also can be given. And I don't think Java is mandatory for Hadoop. You just need to know the concepts. And most of the time, what happens is there are other tools called Hive, Pig, Hbase, Spark. These are the requirements that are going hot in the industries. If you can see, they would be asking for these developers rather than a MapReduce. It's only MapReduce that uses Java. In the entire Hadoop framework, it's only MapReduce. To become a MapReduce developer, you need to know Java. For all the other tools, it is not mandatory to know Java. It's well and good if you know. It doesn't harm if you don't know. Clear?
I have heard another one tool that calls Impala. What is that?
Impala, right?
Yeah, Impala. Or like Hive, Pig, Solar, you said, right? Spark.
It is another tool that is used. It is used on top of Hadoop. There are lot many tools. Mahout, if you've heard across Mahout, the Spark, Mahout, Impala, Couchbase. These are the tools. Excuse me. Okay, these are the tools that are used on top of Hadoop. on the HDFS. So this is another tool that is used for querying and processing. Clear? So basically we'll be covering these, the first three: Hive, Pig, Hbase and MapReduce, and I'll also be having introduction to Spark. Okay, we'll have an introduction to Spark, but will not be covering the programming aspects of Spark, because Spark altogether is it's an entirely a different dimension, and you have to have a basic knowledge of Hadoop for Spark. Clear? Any other doubts, guys? Okay. Let me go through. So we already know that there's a huge data, there's a lot of data that is coming in, and most of the companies are leveraging on this data. The data that is coming in is put to use such that they do analytics on top of this data. If you're already familiar with data warehousing concepts, analytics is the huge word that has been used around. And we have been doing analytics from so many decades together. As in when Rdbms came in, everybody is doing analytics. That there are three types of analytics, that is historical analysis, current analysis, and the predictive analysis. Predictive analysis is the hot term now. If you're seeing the machine learning and artificial intelligence, the predictive analysis is the one concept that is on top of which all these terms are built on. But previously, before this, we have been doing the historical analysis and the current analysis. If you think about historical analysis, that would be data warehousing projects. Suppose as an example, I would take Amazon. If you take Amazon, what happens is Amazon will store all your data, will store all your previous data. It does an analysis on top of your previously selected commercialized projects, or the projects that you bought, or the pages that you've weaved. It does the analysis on the data that is already stored from years together, and it gives you a suggestion. This is called historical analysis. Suggestion is predictive analysis, but historical analysis is doing an analytics on top of the data that is present already in the database. And when we come to current analysis, it is nothing but the banks, the transactions in a bank. I guess you're already familiar with the transactions in banks. It is much more different from the historical analysis, because the kind of customer or the kind of the user for this current analysis is such that he has a requirement to know the calculation as in when he does it. Like in a second, he needs to know what happened, what is the calculation, what is his transaction, what is the withdrawal, and there has to be no problem with these transactions. Current analysis is dealing with the data that is coming in for that particular second, and all the current analysis can be migrated to get a historical view about that particular person. And then comes the predictive analysis. Based on the data that is gathered on any person, we can predict the kind of like his strategy or his likes or his friend request. We can build an algorithm to say what is the sort of, we can actually predict what would be his next move. We can build an algorithm on top of the data that is already present. These are the kinds of analysis that are actually going on. Did anybody say question? Excuse me.
So is there anything like that we analyze is predictive or only text and semi data and on historical is only unstructured data, something like that?
No, nothing like that. No such classification, because initially Rdbms was supporting only structured data. We were doing only the historical analysis and current analysis. But unstructured data, the data can be used in any sort of the analysis. It can be used in historical, current, and predictive. And now the trend is it's more about the unstructured data. The trend that a new startup would be starting is for the unstructured data. But the companies, the existing companies from 150 years or 50 years who already have the structured data, they have the projects like data warehousing projects, e-commerce projects. So these are all the existing projects that you would be working on. Any other doubts? Okay.
Oh, thanks.
So these we would be basically going around the analytics part of it, and we won't be doing the analytics. We will be giving the data for the people to do the analysis. If I am a customer, you would be building an entire backend database. So guys, we would be referring to ourselves as a backend developers. What backend developers does this a day-to-day work is he builds the tables. He stores the data. He's not going to build the table one by one. He's going to write the script such that he builds the table. He writes queries. He writes queries on top of these tables. He'll be doing the ETL things and denormalization. I guess you already know about ETL. It is about cleansing the data and structuring the data to the requirement of the actual project. These would be the day-to-day job of an actual backend developer. And moreover, any developer or any project will not only be about development. A Hadoop developer would have around 60% of development. He would be having around 20% of maintenance of the projects or the releases that is already present. And maintenance would include a bug fix or enhancement. And then another 20% would go for your CI. I guess most of you are already familiar with the word called continuous integration. As in when we check in the code, we need to make sure that the code works very fine and properly. So that is called CI, continuous integration. Every single day, every single minute you build a code, it has to be tested, and this testing is automated. It is referred as CI. Okay. These are the day-to-day, and this is how a developer's work is divided every single day. Okay, let's go back to the Hadoop introduction. And moreover, this are all the analytics. This is not required. It is okay. So we already know that as Rdbms has only it can support you around terabytes of data. It will only support you around terabytes of data, but Hadoop will support petabytes and more, higher data than zettabytes of data. This is higher configuration. Rdbms has a restriction for the amount of data that it can process, and it needs high-end servers. It needs everything which is optimized, which is high. But Hadoop is not. Hadoop is one particular framework which does not have any such any such configurations or limitations. And Hadoop is a cluster, as I already told you. Hadoop is a cluster. It is a combination of machines. It is never a single machine. You can start a cluster with 4 nodes, and the highest cluster is 4,500 nodes. It has around 4,500 nodes. Node is nothing but one particular system. You can take it as one particular system. One cluster will have 4 systems, and the highest number of clusters is 4,500 nodes. And we need not worry about configuring this Hadoop cluster because the configuration is already taken care. We just need to know how to use this cluster. Clear, guys? Any doubts on this cluster configuration? Okay, I assume there are no doubts.
No, it's kind of. No, there's right now everything is new. So it's going over my head. Probably I'll catch it down the road.
Okay, a cluster is nothing but if you have one mission is referred as a node, and a combination of missions. These missions speak to each other. Both these missions speaks to each other. Node 1 and node 2 will speak to each other, and there will be no password authentication. And speaking of this mission configured in such a way that the file distribution among these missions will be very fast. These are the things we have to know as a Hadoop developer, how a cluster works, and what is the framework that is used, and what are the disadvantages of Hadoop or as such. Okay. And then we already know that the amount of unstructured data that is flowing in is becoming huge, and that is what all the companies are trying to take advantage of. So if you can see the amount of data that is increased, that is flowing in from past 2000 to this 10 years is like doubled from the time that we had existed, and this is still fine. So guys, any other doubts on the introduction of Hadoop? You have any questions that has to be answered, you can ask me. Okay, I guess. Yeah, Ali, it's okay. Everybody is new to this Hadoop. I don't see any person who knows Hadoop. All the companies have started to picking up this Hadoop technology from past 3 years, and from past 3 years they would be doing a POC. I guess if you know POC, it would be a proof of concept. Before taking in any new concept, they will do an experiment. Once they think that the experiment works out fine, they will take this project into their actual production environment. So all the companies are new to this Hadoop. They might be having experience only from past 3 years. Everybody is new to this concept. You need not worry about it. And what else? And there is no prerequisite such that you should know Java or SQL. Once you start going through the course, you will actually realize how easy Hadoop is, because one program written in Java, the number of lines of codes, if people were afraid about coding, if the program that takes 150 lines of code in Java would hardly take only 5 lines of code in Hive and 5 lines of code in Pig. Excuse me. It would only take 5 lines to achieve the same program that is written in 150 lines in Java. And pretty much Hive, Pig, Spark, Hbase are very simple. These are the tools that are developed to take leverage on top of Java. There are a lot of hard codings, there are a lot of boilerplate codes that are present in Java programming that are removed, and the framework is made very simple for the non-Java developers. Facebook as such started developing Hive so that it has too many SQL developers. Nobody knew Java. To make sure that the developers are able to take advantage of Hadoop, they developed a tool called Hive. It is very simple. You need not worry about it. And okay, any other doubts, guys? Any other doubts on big data or Hadoop? You can ask me. If not, we'll go ahead with this slide on the course material. Yes, what are this? So before going through MindsMapped, I'll browse over the course content. So guys, if you can see here, prerequisite is Oracle Java. I guess I would like to remove this, and from the next session I'll be removing this prerequisites. So basics of Unix, if you don't know basics of Unix, you need not worry. We'll always have 15 minutes hands-on session for Unix, only Unix commands, so that you will get used to it. Unix commands are very simple and you just have to start practicing it so that it will be on your hands. And moreover, so Unix, you need not worry. And if you have any problem in understanding or catching the concept, you can always mail me, so that I'll start 10 minutes or 15 minutes earlier than the class. Anybody who has a problem with that can attend or come early for 15 or 10 minutes. I mean, join 15 or 10 minutes, and we can try to resolve your doubts. And moreover, before starting the class, it's mandatory that you install this particular software. You install this particular software and have the software up and running. It's a Cloudera 5, and we'll be giving you the links for installing and downloading. And also there will be one class. There'll be one particular class to show the configurations for installing the class CDH5. And so before starting the class, you should have your software up and running, so that this is a hands-on session. I don't want anybody to miss any of the hands-on commands, and all the hands-on commands will be mailed across. So let's go back to the course content.
What is the name of the software that you want us to install?
CDH, Cloudera, CDH. I will be giving you the as soon this class finishes, I'll be sending you the links. It's a combination of two tools, so you have to install both, and it's very simple. You just click on the .exe file, it'll just install. Everything will be integrated for you. It'll be up and running. And yep, let's go back to the course content. If you can see,
it's an open source, or how is it?
Yes, it's an open source. Hadoop Apache, it's an open source. All the Hadoop related projects are open source.
Okay.
Okay. So this is an introduction to big data. The first session would be Introduction to Big Data. I guess we have covered most of it if you can see here, structured. Guys, can you drop your email IDs and contacts? Meanwhile, I'll explain about the course and I can send you across the course content. Please drop your name and email IDs now. Yep. If you can see here in the session 1, it's an introduction to big data. For those of you who are new to big data, we'll be going across the different types of data. What are the scenarios in the actual organization? What are the challenges of big data? And how are we overcoming the functionalities that are provided from the traditional Rdbms? So this is one part of the introduction that we'll be covering. The next one would be the introduction to Hadoop. There are two things when we speak about Hadoop. First, you need to know what big data is and then start concentrating on the Hadoop. Hadoop itself is two things. It's a combination of, I guess you would already know, Hadoop is a combination of storage and processing. It's a combination of storage and processing. We will also go through the ETL concepts. We'll also go through the tools, etc. So before jumping into the tools and etc., we will be going through the Hadoop ecosystem as such. Hadoop, like while going through the second session, there will be one particular session for installing the software as such. And once the software is installed, when the theoretical concept of the Hadoop architecture is finished, we'll go through understanding the actual configuration from the software. Like as in when I open this software, you can see there are applications that are running via this application. There's an introduction to this particular software and what is the configuration, how do you change the name, etc. and how do you increase the memory. Everything will be taken care in this particular session, in the Hadoop configuration session. By the session 3, I would expect everybody to install your software so that you don't miss anything. And it's almost like as you're watching the video or you're listening to the lecture, you would feel like you understand things, but unless you try out, you get some error. Most of them don't remember it. I personally suggest you install your softwares up and running within the first week, so that from the next week we would be starting the MapReduce programs and you would have all the hands-on. Clear? Guys, can you drop your contact numbers also, the phone numbers? Monica would be sending you out mails and the timings, other course content, etc. So apart from this, MapReduce, we'll pick up the MapReduce programs and the advanced MapReduce programs. After the MapReduce programs, there are two tools which we'll be covering. After MapReduce, advanced MapReduce, there'll be 2 mock interview sessions. We would come around 2 or 3 mock interviews so that everybody will be in sync and all of us you would get used to the interviews. We'll be having mock interviews for the concepts also. And then we'll be having sessions on Pig. Pig and Hive are the tools which are used to leverage on the data that is already present. We would start creating we'll start creating analysis on top of the tables that are already present. You'll get you get more information on these tools of Pig and Hive. Hive is one such tool that is used around data warehousing projects, and we'll also cover one NoSQL tool. Yeah, I guess you already come across something called NoSQL. This is in high demand now. It is called as NoSQL because they don't have Java or SQL for this. And these tools will also help. This is more than Hive and Pig. These are all the advanced tools. We'll be covering one such tool as Hbase. And after this Hbase, we'll also go through the services. It's not only the tools that we have to know in a Hadoop ecosystem. A Hadoop ecosystem, you should also know the services that are up and running and making this cluster intact, making everything to be together. So we'll go through some services like Zookeeper, Oozie, Yarn. And one more information I'd like to give you is Hadoop 2 is the commercial release that everybody is using. Hadoop 1 was already existing and Hadoop 2 is referred as Yarn. I guess you've already heard about Yarn if you're browsing through. Hadoop 2 is Yarn and it has some basic differences from Hadoop 1 to Hadoop 2. We'll be covering out those topics also. And then you'd be given across two two particular, so every single assignment will, every single session will have assignments, and there is one particular website of ours. Once you have given the login, you'll get to, you can use the login online exams. There's online exams for that. You have to go through the exams. You can, it's not mandatory that you have to go through the exam, but you'll have multiple choice questions. Once you're done with the session, you can go through the online quiz and see where we actually lie, and you have any doubts, you can come back to me. And anytime you have a doubt, anytime you're stuck with any exception, or you get any problem in executing, or you have any doubts, you can always mail me back. I'm always available. On top of this, you'll be given two projects. You'll be given two projects and expected to finish those two projects. One is the Hive project and the other would be the Pig project. Okay, you would be given across two user stories, like how you would be given in an actual project. Every developer will be given a user case or use story. So once the use case is given to you, you have to develop this use case and send us back, and you can do it via this particular software. So this is pretty much about the course content, and we'll be having one resume preparation session also. If you want, we can have resume prep for individual, like that will take like some 10 to 15 minutes for a person, or we can all over together have a resume preparation on that day. And moreover, you have to let me know when the mock interviews can be taken. So this is about the course content. Any other doubts you have, guys?
Here is it purely it is covered only the development part, or how is it the admin also the developer can handle, or how is it work?
Okay, about this, you are speaking about the career aspects, right?
No. Actually, in this training, is there any admin work
No, this
also
training
covered, or how
doesn't
is it?
have any admin trainings. This is entirely purely for the backend developers. So all the
Development.
admin development is not there. It is only for the developer. And anybody who goes through this course can also opt for being a Hadoop tester. Hadoop developer and Hadoop tester.
Hadoop
Yes.
tester. So, but the course is going to cover tester in the sense like manual testing, something like that?
No, not the manual
How is
testing.
it?
The testing concepts will not be taught. The Hadoop concepts will be taught. So if you know about Hadoop and you're a tester, you can opt for becoming a Hadoop tester. You need to know the concepts. Okay. But the admin, Hadoop admin is not covered.
Okay.
Any
And another question
between the admin and the developer.
Come again?
Hey, Kavya,
Yes, I can hear you.
what's the difference between the Hadoop developer, the tester, versus the admin level?
Yes. So Hadoop developer is the one who develops the user stories. You're given a use case. You'll be given a use case to create a report such that if you want to, okay, you will be given a user story to create such that to count the number of, to count the volume of data that has flown across for 1 hour of time that we have taken the class, okay? You're given a use case such that you have to count the volume of data that has been flowing in because of this particular class, and you have to show the volume of data with audio and video. What is the difference with the audio data and what is the difference with the video data, and what was the bandwidth that was actually taken care. You will develop an entire backend for this. You will create a table. You will start, you have this data and you have to create tables where you can save the chat messages, where you can save the audio volume, where you can save the video volume, and you write an entire use case, populate data, do all the cleansing, clear all the unwanted anomalies, and feed into the table, and make sure you write a query to capture the volume of data that has been flowing in, and you give it, once you think the use case is finished, you give it to the tester. The tester has to test that, the Hadoop tester has to test such that once he puts in the new data.
Even the query.
Come again?
Hey, Kavya, when you're saying that when you write the query,
Yes.
is that something written in any kind of format like
Yes.
SQL, or is it written in
If
Java?
you're writing in a Hive, there's a language called HQL. It is called Hive Query Language. It is similar to SQL. Sorry. It is similar to SQL. If at all you're writing in Hive, it is called HQL, which is similar to SQL. If you're writing in Pig, it is a Pig Latin script. And then if you're using Hbase, it would be...
all this is going to be covered within this training, am I correct?
Yes, all this will be covered within this training. And then the Hadoop tester, what he does is he writes the queries to see if he's getting... You would not share your query to the Hadoop tester. The tester has to write his own query and see whatever his understanding and whatever he is expecting is the same data that you are giving to him. Agree? And he also has to make sure there are some loopholes or there are some concepts in Hadoop. Yes.
Yeah, Kavya.
Yes,
I still didn't get the message that you said about the Hadoop administrator.
Hadoop will not be covering Hadoop admin. Hadoop admin basically deals with the configuration.
Right, I agree. But what I wanted to know was what is the difference between the developer and the admin?
Okay. Hadoop developer is the one who uses these tools and stores the data and processes the data. But Hadoop admin is a guy who's responsible for the memory, for the usage. And I already told you there'll be clusters, okay? There'll be clusters. How these clusters speak to each other, what is the password configuration, what is the algorithm to be used for the security. And if at all you're going for a banking domain project, security is very important. How the security should be enabled, and what is the platform changes. And suppose you're doing, suppose my project is ready for the installation, and a new version of Hadoop comes in. From Hadoop 2 to, if at all, a new version of Hadoop 3 comes in, how to incorporate this new Hadoop 3 to Hadoop 2 without making any changes to my project development is what a Hadoop admin job is. It is more involved with the configuration, security, platform bringing up, etc.
Okay, on these two positions, one is a developer and an admin. Who makes more money?
I guess it depends on the organization that you get selected, and quality is also a very important thing. It's not only developing. Hadoop quality is also important, but I personally prefer a Hadoop developer. So no hard feelings. Hadoop developer would be the one.
No, I agree, but who makes the most money?
Developer? That also depends on the organization.
Okay, cool.
Okay. Any other doubts, guys? Okay. I assume there are no doubts. Let's go on to the features of MindsMapped course. So the main reason why I would suggest you to take MindsMapped course is that the course is intact with the industry standards. Like whatever the tools that the industry as such is using is actually taken care and is covered in the Hadoop course content. If you can go across Google and search around all these concepts are presently used, and these are all the commercial releases in the Hadoop industry. And then moreover, this is an online training, and once you know the basics of Hadoop, I guess you will have all the advantages to, if at all you want to go for a certification, you already know the basics, you just have to prepare for the certification. And we too teach a lot of tools. There are a lot of combination of tools. Not every person in a Hadoop project will get a chance to work in all the tools. You will be knowing about all the tools, and you have to master on one tool. But if you're working in one project for 2 years, you will be mastering only one tool. That is a disadvantage. And if you in this course will make you go through most of the tools, so that you will have an idea about everything, and all the tools will not be learning via theory. It's everything is hands-on. You'll never feel that you don't know or you're bored or something like that. Everything is a hands-on session. And as and when it is done, we'll have a mock-up interview sessions and also the online quizzes. Any help you want, you can mail me anytime. I'm always available. And you have any doubts in the basics of Java or basics of Linux or MySQL, we are ready to help you, and we'll also give you the actual books where you can, which is very easy, and you have any doubts as and when, like before the class starts, like some 10-15 minutes, we can also solve the doubts that you have for Hive, Hadoop or Java, anything for that case. And there is one particular concept called knowledge base in MindsMapped, where all the information is stored. Once you're given an access, you can always go back to that knowledge base and review. All the videos are uploaded. You can always view the videos, and the previous batch videos also you can view it. And pretty much that's it. Any other doubts you have, you can ask me. So these are the career aspects. You can be a Hadoop developer. Once you know about everything, if you want to be a tester, or if you are more towards the quality and thing, as such, if you're more towards the functional testing, then you can become a Hadoop tester. Hadoop admin is something more dealing with the configurations. Once you start knowing about Hadoop concepts, if you become a Hadoop developer for 3 to 4 years, then you can start concentrating on becoming a Hadoop architect. You can be an Hadoop developer or an admin, then you can move on to become a Hadoop architect, and then move on to become a data analyst or a data scientist. Ahmad will be giving you the materials also. The materials are already present in the web knowledge base. You just have to get your credentials from Monica. Once you get the credentials from Monica, you'll be having, you can access all the materials. Guys, any other doubts or clarifications you can ask me? If for those of you who have not dropped your contact number, phone numbers, mail IDs and the names, please drop me. I will be sending you out a mail for the same. Any doubts and clarifications you can ask me.
So what about JavaScript, HTML? That and all, we should be familiar with that?
No. Those are completely UI. That is the front-end development tool languages. You need not be knowing JavaScript or JSP. It's just Java. Java is also bare minimum. You can always make a decision not to know Java. It is not a big deal. There are so many other languages. So nothing as such. It is a myth, guys. For any of you, if at all anybody asks you, Java and MySQL are not the basics. It's a myth that people think these two are the prerequisite. And I on earth think anybody can learn anything. It's not a rocket science. Hadoop is pretty simple and it's very straightforward. Any other doubts?
Okay.
Guys, any doubts? Or I would end the demo here. Have you, I guess everybody has dropped your mail IDs and phone numbers, right? So for those of you who have not dropped, please drop your mail IDs and contact numbers. Meanwhile, if you have any questions, you can ask, or that's it for the day.
Okay, I have a quick question now. Hey, Kavya?
Yes, I can hear you.
I have a question. On this training, do we have structured training with all the written formats? What we're going to do is distributed to us, because honestly, the training today that I have is my opinion. Honestly, I'm not happy, first of all. Second of all, it's not completely detailed the way I was expecting it.
Okay.
I mean, the thing is, you're typing everything as you go. It's good. But you did not provide anything which is in written detailed material that I can review while you're training, step by step.
Okay.
So that way at least it's much easy to catch. And the second thing is, 90% of the class that we are attending right now, nobody have any knowledge of this. And I believe maybe this is a word that you use a lot, that as you all know, seriously, we don't know.
Okay.
The second thing is, I need better training material during the training class.
You want a better training material? This is a demo class, as you
Okay.
already know.
So,
We can't give you a material beforehand.
right. I mean,
That is, yes, that is one thing. And then if you can see the like that is how the flow goes. Until unless you're not enrolled, you don't get a material. There's a lot of material that is present there, and most of the time, the material will be provided before the class or after the class. There are no such concepts. Once you have a access to knowledge base, all the material is present, and it is that individuals it is that individual's responsibility to go inside the knowledge base and pick out the material and go through it. All the material for that class will be sent around. All the commands that will be doing on that particular day will be sent on end of that class. So we're not sending the command at the initial of the class. So this is one thing I want to clarify to you. And moreover, you're new to Hadoop, but there are also people
okay. Who
who.
do I need to?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. I understand that is the philosophy that you guys are using.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And because after registration, we already done registering and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe you might have sent some instruction to read or anything, which has come from multiple email addresses. So my question to you is, like, today you went through all this introduction.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But honestly, I didn't catch anything. Maybe I might be the dumbest in this class, but seriously, I did not catch anything.
It's basically the demo was to people. The main idea of this demo is to whatever you don't know, you were welcome to ask these questions, right? Yeah, as in when you find that you're not getting it, it's really important you stop me right at that particular time and ask the questions. That is the main thing that everybody chose as their online instructor. There is no need for you to sit quiet and like finally at the end of the demo you need not ask it. You can ask it whenever, as in when you find there is some confusion or you don't know what is it or you have any clarifications or something. Is that fine? Whenever you think that you're not catching up the concepts, it's still okay. If everybody is delayed, I don't mind, because we can always extend. This is the 30-hour session, but I don't mind extending it for another 5 to 6 sessions if everybody is understanding it. We've already done it. We've already extended the session for 3 to 4 classes so that everybody is in sync. I personally feel that anybody who attends my class will never feel that they don't know the concepts or they left without any concepts or there is no clarification as such. Is that fine?
Sounds good. I think we can do some research on our own, like Googling or something, so that we can clarify all those things, like the terms you have said already. So,
yes.
Yeah, it was good.
Thank you. So basically, guys, what I say is there is no need to worry or think that you're not understanding anything, and it's not a rocket science. It's very simple. There are materials that would be sent across for everybody so that you can go across those materials. There are 2 important books that I would recommend for everybody. I'd be sending across from after the second day of the class. That would be Definitive Guide for Hadoop and Definitive Guide for Hadoop, and the other one is Hadoop in Action. Hadoop in Action. These 2 books are called as the Bible of the Hadoop, entire Hadoop. So we'll be sending you across these 2 books and also the materials. The assignments are already present in the knowledge base. There are videos that are already present, but the PPTs are not shared across. The PPTs that are shown here will not be shared. But all these PPTs and all the data or all the contents that is present in this PPT is always present in these 2 books. And there are some other books also I would recommend if you're a newcomer to Java. If at all you're very fresh to Java, there is something called Head First Java. Then if you already know the concepts of Java, you can go for OCJP books. OCJP, this is Oracle Certified Java Programming. All the interviews will be asking questions. If at all you pick to become a Java developer or you want to explore more in Java, you can go across these books. And if at all you're new to Java and you only want to know what are the concepts of Java before diving in blindly, then you can go through this Head First Java. Clear? And there are 2 books called Definitive Guide to Hadoop and Hadoop in Action, which will be sent across. That's it. Any other doubts? Guys?
Oh, thank you very much.
Thank you. So if you have any doubts or if you want any more clarifications, you can always ask me. I'm here for another 15 minutes. So apart from that, that's it for today. Thank you.
Thank you, Kavya.
Thank you. So all of you.
How many hours a day are we doing this? I think I missed the early part of this class.
It would be around 1 hour for every day. And if at all there is some clarifications or we are in middle of some programming or any debugging process, it would extend around another half an hour. It usually extends for another 15 to 20 minutes. So, but the ideal time is 1 hour. And moreover, it is for 30 days, 30 hours,
okay, so
excluding Saturdays and Sundays. But guys, if at all we are unable to cover some topics and we feel some topics are left out or any other clarification on any other new technology, we can always extend, and ideally I have extended some 2 or 3 classes till now. So you need not worry that we would not be covering concepts. It's not like we are definite for the schedule or something like that. So
do we have classes on Saturday and Sunday also?
No, we don't have classes on Saturdays and Sundays. But though there'll be assignments given on Saturdays, there'll be assignments given for Saturdays and Sundays, and moreover every day there'll be assignment given. But as I already know, there are a lot of working professionals and you get very less time. But I would prefer that you return back the assignments after Saturdays and Sundays.
So classes starting from tomorrow onwards?
Now today at the end of the day?
Yes, the classes will be starting from tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay. Do you have anything that you're going to pass out today for us to read or anything in reference to Java and anything like that?
Yes, ideally I don't have the list
or
of
anything basic on this.
Yes, ideally I don't have the list of students or list of candidates who are already enrolled. I have not yet got the list. As and when I get the list, I'll be sending out you the most important things I'll be sending out for the first time is the links for the software. Links for the softwares. The other would be the 2 mandatory books. The third one is the link for the knowledge base, and the next one would be the link for the online quiz, and fifth one would be the link for the videos, previous videos. What else? Pretty much that's it for the first week. These would be the links that would be going around, and the links where to download the software, etc. from. So if at all you get these many links, I guess it's well and good. And if you start reading these books, it's also well and good, or going through these videos. These are the basic and mandatory things that would be sent across for everybody as soon as I get the list of candidates who are enrolled. Here.
Okay, and also would you be sending the videos for the classes that we take on a daily basis?
Yes.
At the end of the day, are you going to mail that out too?
No, we won't be mailing that. You will be given a link where you can access the video. It's a shared link.
Yeah, that's fine. That's the one.
So, but it would take around 2 hours for the videos to be uploaded. As in when the class finishes, it will take 2 hours for the videos to be uploaded.
That's fine.
Okay. Any other doubts, guys?
Not doubt, just a little fear right now.
What is that you're fearing?
Right now, I'm not even getting anything. That's why I'm kind of worried about it. That's all it is. But maybe I'll catch up on the second, because you should have got the list of everybody so we could have got the materials to get started. And what I don't understand is how come the company that it's called, what is it?
MindsMapped.
MindsMapped. How come they did not send the student list to you? So that way we could have got this links and everything starting today.
It's just a demo class. You need not be worried more. Like it's basically what we make sure is you know the basics. Once you know the basics, I guess there's a lot of material around internet where you can build on. There's nothing you need to worry. I mean, at least that is the assurance from my side. And if you think I didn't clarify you anything or you have any doubts, you're not catching up, you can always tell me. After the class, we can still stay late, clear you, and then finish the class. So you need not be afraid that like something is going to be unclear or left out like that. Okay, I'll assure you that from my class. Thanks.
Good. That's going to be really.
Guys, is there any other improvement or requirement that you want from, if you were expecting from this class, you can let me know, or any other good practice that we can follow. I'll make sure that we follow this so that it becomes much more easier for the guys like us who will be coming from now on. Any other improvement you are expecting from this class as such? Okay. So is this enough, or shall we end the class, or is there anything you want to share or clarify? Hello, guys. Okay. I would assume that's it for the day. I would be ending the class now. Is that fine?
Yeah, sure.
Sure. Thank you.
Hope to meet you tomorrow.
Yes. Thank you. Guys, if you have any doubts, you can always mail me. I'll just share my email ID later on. As in when I get your list, I'll be sharing your email IDs. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks.